Damien, this has been quite a journey for you. This started as a short film, you premiered it as a feature at Sundance and then Cannes, and now you're here in Toronto. Can you tell us about that journey?
I mean, it's kind of like the dream journey. I mean, it's really, it's it's a huge surprise, obviously, but of course you always have these like pipe dreams. I mean, at the end of the day, I knew that I had no idea if anyone would actually connect to this story because it was so just kind of personal to me and things that I'd been through. But at least I knew that, I knew at least if I could put what I felt like as a jazz drummer kind of in that specific world on the screen, at least I didn't know if it would connect, but at least I knew that it would be true to some kind of aspect of that, at least as I experienced it. I think every musician experiences it differently, but it's awesome to see it actually kind of connect. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's the biggest dream of all.
We're so happy to be a part of that dream. Okay, over to you guys.
I mean, the main thing is Sharon, who's in the audience, who's our DP.
Yeah, right there.
And it was. I remember when all of us first kind of looked at the schedule, and it was kind of that moment where we're sort of like, okay, I guess we're gonna try to do it. We actually had more time to do the short. I thought when we were doing the short we had 3 days to do a scene, the kind of first big rehearsal scene, which we did 2 days on the feature. And I kind of naively thought when doing the short that I was earning the right by doing the short, if it went well, to like get more time to do the feature. And they're like, we'll let you do the feature, but we'll squeeze it more. And but the thing is, actually, like what seemed like a burden at the time, actually I think created this kind of crazy energy that wound up on screen. And so, I mean, I just planned kind of everything to a T, and I always knew where the camera would be for every kind of note of music or every sort of bar. We sort of did previs and animatics and all that kind of nonsense, and Sharon and I really sort of poured over comps and images and just everything to kind of know how to do it. So we had a plan, but at the same time, even with a plan in hand, it was still a crazy schedule, and I think that kind of, I mean, you guys can maybe speak to, I mean, we weren't sleeping, but in a way, you kind of want that for this movie, so.
Didn't you get in a car accident on the way home from set one day because you were just so sleep deprived?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. These guys, so Miles, I wrote the part largely, I wrote it largely with him in mind. Rabbit Hole had come out around when I was writing the first draft. And Miles likes to joke with me about how much I love that movie and him in it. But there's something about him playing that kid in the movie, this vulnerable teenager that's normally so badly done in movies. It's normally the kind of role that sinks in movie. And he just did it so subtly and in such a nuanced way. So I kind of knew from the get-go I wanted him. And when I was writing the character Fletcher, I had my own teacher in mind. I didn't actually have, any actor in mind. And the weird thing was I couldn't kind of think of an actor who would actually be able to embody that. And I remember Jason Reitman actually once kind of suggesting his muse, who he calls his muse, J.k. And as soon as he said that, then it really excited me because the whole, I knew I wanted to use someone who we hadn't seen this side of them at least in a while. And I remember J.K. and I talking about Oz and talking about early stuff. We did the short together, and then I quickly went through the short from thinking he'd be awesome in the part to thinking everyone else would suck in the part, and that had to be him. So thank you for sticking with us, J.K.
My pleasure. Yes.
I don't know.
I slept. I was tired.
Yeah, I was really tired. Yeah.
and he worked a lot more than I did. So, yeah. Well, I know Miles drummed his ass off. Is what Miles did to prepare for the part. He has a background as a drummer. He grew up playing drums, but it was rock.
Right. Right.
So he had to learn how to play the real drums. And I know how much, I mean, you put in a lot of work.
I was doing, because I had drummed, I got a drum kit when I was like 15, so I had been drumming, recreationally and in some bands for like 10 years. And then once, Damien came to me and we realized that we were doing it, and we realized we had about 3 weeks, before the movie, I started taking jazz lessons. Damien started teaching me at first. I remember when you brought your drum kit, like over to my house, we set it up in my basement and, just started cracking away. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter if you've played drums your whole life. If you've never played jazz, it feels completely like alien to you. I mean, you're holding the stick differently. The most fundamental part of it is completely different. And just moving around the kit, like this motion I'm never doing in real life. You know, I open doors with my right hand. This thing is weird. Like brush your teeth with your left hand one day. Feel that toothbrush in your mouth. It's strange. So we started picking up, and at first I was very nervous because Damien basically told me that I, in fact, would be playing all the music. Like he needed me to be able to play that, and so yeah, we just started, banging away on it, and had like 3 weeks worth of some intensive lessons.
And I had to wave my arms.
And they loved it, and they love it. Yeah, I think what's nice with a character like Andrew is, I've played other characters. They work a lot. I work a lot more from the outside in. It's more about kind of the reaction from people that they get, and like that's important how they land with the other people in the room. But the great thing about Andrew is that he does not give a shit. Like all he cares about is playing the friggin' drums, and that's actually a nice thing as an actor when you have one thing to focus on. It's like the drums. That's it. And then for all this stuff with J.K., I mean, J.K. is really a phenomenal actor. He's, as an actor, you hope you get somebody that, does something different every time that is really, surprising you so that it is a lot of, in the moment. I think as actors, you really, you get excited about that kind of stuff when you feel like you don't know what's going to happen and you just go into the scene and, and let it fly and hopefully magic happens. And like I said, this guy's just like a pretty intimidating dude when he wants to be. So you just try and be as present as possible.
That's the clue right there. Have an actor who can be present. That's a beautiful thing. Somebody who can listen and be present is not as common as you might think. I think it was a teacher he had, wasn't it?
You missed the part about the.
I think you all got that question, but it was what led you to transitioning from being a jazz musician to a film director?
Everything in the movie.
Thank you all for coming. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys.